Okay, welcome World and Larson Training Center students to today's Employment Planning Workshop Day 3. Today we're going to focus on the resumes. Well, it's actually kind of like Day 2 over again, sort of. Not really over again, but one day it was Martin Luther King Day, so that was a little bit off. But today we're going to really focus on resumes, and there's some documents in the drive that you need to pull up. But we're going to focus on resumes today. And what did we learn yesterday about the resume?
It is the invitation to the interview.
Okay, or I would say the ticket. It's the ticket to the interview. If you don't do well on your resume, you're not going to get an interview. When you're in the interview and they're reading your resume, how important is the resume when you're in the interview?
It's important to make it seem like it is your resume that you created.
Okay, so the importance of the resume in the interview is the person they're interested in hiring is the person reflected in that resume. So they're fundamentally there to see if this is you. But they're not hiring the resume. If they were hiring the resume, what's the purpose of the interview?
Not important.
Not important. They just, do what I think Matt or somebody suggested yesterday is, well, in the future, are they going to get away with having interviews at all? Just have artificial intelligence decide whether you're the right person for the job. And because, think about it, could a computer system, could it be in the future, 20 years from now, that your history, everybody's history is going to be so transparent, so much on the internet, that when you submit your resume, they might say, turn in your resume and your social security number or your employment, some new number that's made up just for employment purposes, your employment ID number.
Copy of your computer chip, letting you know where you've been, what you've done.
Well, no, but I'm saying I think it's that will be so pervasive on the internet, everybody's Facebook, their whatever, that before they interview you, they'll know your educational history, your work history, all of the stuff that you put on your resume. Your performance reviews at work will be accessible to people, and that is it possible that the technology will exist, that there's a file on you.
And there won't be any interviews at all, they'll just be recruiting.
Okay.
You won't be applying.
So is it possible that the technology will exist to do that?
Sure.
Yeah. Technology exists today. There are government files on particular things that have gigabytes, terabytes worth of information. So it's not a big deal to have a gigabyte, all of the information available about you, Jesus, in the future, say 20 years from now. It's not inconceivable that everybody could have a file that has everything about what they did, because you signed up for an app and you gave somebody permission to track your performance reviews and whatever else, job history, and you decided you were going to do that because it could help you get a job in the future. Or you couldn't get a job in the future if you didn't have this. So it is possible that the technology would exist that we don't have to do interviews. Is it possible that a computer system and artificial intelligence will be able to figure out whether your personality fits with the personality at work?
Sure.
Okay. I think in terms of scale, from you're this range here, that it will be able to figure out, Tony Shea says, here's what we're looking for at Zappos. What are they looking for? What does anybody remember from David Logan's talk?
A little weirdness.
People who are a little bit weird. So at Zappos, they could spend a lot of energy creating a profile of the perfect employee. Everybody agree with that?
Sure.
Yeah. So it wouldn't be hard for an artificial intelligence to look at your resume, your information, your job history, the kind of jobs you had before, how long you lasted, what your education was, what your family background was, all of the stuff available on you that people do in an interview right now. and put that in a app or a program. Create a computer profile of who we're looking for. So on a spectrum, that's easily done. But I don't know if that ever gets to the point of we don't need to see if we like this person.
Likability can be faked.
Yeah, it can. But if you're a professional person, you know how to, it's like this. If I know something, if we're playing a game of cards and you don't know how to play and I'm an expert,
I'm not going to try to con you.
are you going to win? You might get lucky and win some hands, but over time you're not going to win, right? So companies will spend more energy getting expert people doing interviews, and people probably won't have the ability to get really good at trying to defeat somebody who's an expert at interviewing. And they can ask these little test questions like, or just say things like, this isn't what your resume said. It's not what your resume says, just to see your reaction. Or come up with new things to figure out, do we like you? Do you fit into our company? So I think there'll always, at least in our lifetime, I think there'll always be a place for the interview. And I think the more and more, the pre-interview part, the resume part, the background information part, is going to keep getting better and better and better, so that they have a better idea of, is this person who I think I'm interviewing, is that really you? And people can have different personas too, right? Like, do you act differently when you're in church than when you're with your friends drinking?
I hope so.
Yeah, which is the real you? Yeah. Which is the real you? Well, both are. So you could act a particular way at work that's not at all who you are when you're not at work. You could be a perfectly good employee while you're at work.
You have to role play.
Okay. So again, I think it becomes important. I think the interview, at least for the next 20 years, there will still be this interview process, even though there's going to be more background information, more of who you are. For example, it's very common for employers now to do check you out on Facebook. Why?
See what kind of person you really are.
Yeah, see what you do when you're not at work.
But you can have a fake Facebook page set up just for that.
Okay, but that means people have to be more creative and clever. Most people aren't. Who remembers what Zappos does when they hire management level people and above?
Well,
They fly them in, they pick them up.
They have somebody who's driving them actually spy on them. And
well, they have you come in, they have a whole day plan because they want you to be tired. They give you a tour, you go on many interviews, you talk to a lot of people, and then they say, okay, we're going to get you back to the airport. The van is outside waiting. They take you to the airport. The most important person, not the most, a very important person is when that van comes back, that guy goes up to HR and they say, what was the person like in the van? Yes. How did they act when their guard was down, when they were tired, and they thought that they were relaxing, and they thought you're just the driver? How did they treat you? Okay. It's on YouTube.
Oh, I don't doubt, but that takes the effectiveness away, doesn't it?
If people do their research. If you want to spend hours, because my hunch is there could be 1,000 YouTube videos that have to do with Zappos or Tony Hsieh.
A lot.
Okay, but there's all kinds of stuff. And if you want to go through it, you'll find it.
But I thought they eliminated managers anyway.
Well, these were done before that. Okay. So, but anyway, so at Zappos, they're trying to figure out, do people fit into our culture? I think interviewing is still going to be important. But our purpose is the resume. And on the drive, Phyllis, can you put it on Google Plus for everyone? The sample resume. And then there's the other document that's mentioned, planning worksheet or something like that. It's in the description of today's event. It's also on the drive. It's the, the it's this
Placement worksheet.
placement worksheet.
That's what it says.
Yeah, I think that's what's called. Yeah. Placement worksheet. Yeah. Placement worksheet and sample resume. So that's really what you need to focus on. So I want to talk for a second about our resume. And the key word is not resume, it's sample. Because you need to make it your resume. Number one. The other thing is, if you have 3 to 5 employers, how many resumes should you have?
3 to 5.
Yeah, one for every prospective employer. Why?
Because everyone's different.
Yeah, everyone's different. So let's go here to Carmine's city.com. And let's go to Hologram. Okay, so here's that resume. I mean, not resume. Here's that. So here's Carmine's. Carmine's is a big, high volume restaurant. They have locations in the Theater District of New York City, Upper West Side, New York City, Washington, D.C., Atlantic City, Las Vegas, and Atlantis, the Bahamas. Big, high-end, really, really professional restaurants. They're very professional. The one here is located where?
In Forum
In the
Shops.
Forum Shops. It used to be what? Planet Hollywood, right. It's the largest Italian restaurant in Las Vegas. Seats 800 people. They have 150 people that work there. 50 people work in the kitchen alone. Okay, high-end. Here's their website. They have a little thing on their website called employment. Let's see what's under home. Oh, about. Here we go, about. Okay, so they have a section called about, right? And they have a section called employment. Let's go to the Olive Garden.
Careers.
Okay, about Olive Garden. Okay, so they do have something. Where was the careers?
Right above the boat.
Okay, careers. So again, employment. And they have a thing about Olive Garden. Do you think, without us looking, does there anybody think that they're going to say the same thing?
No.
Are they going to be in the same universe?
No.
What's going to be the connection?
They will serve Italian food.
They're serving restaurants, serving Italian food. That's the connection. Why in the world would you send both of these people the same resume? Because you're lazy. Exactly. Jinx. Okay, you're lazy. What do most people tell you to do?
Send out as many resumes as you can.
Yeah. Make your resume, make it look good, send it to as many people as you can. Okay. Today, the Olive Garden family, blah, 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 whatever it says. And, here's their thing. So what are you supposed to do if you're going to have a different resume? What makes your Carmine's resume different than your Olive Garden resume?
Well, you would speak to your experience in high-end Italian dining more than you would in fast movie.
Well, ultimately you do that, but as part of you're doing your research and preparing, you got to go through this and look for keywords. So write down in your books, the process of doing research is go to their website, go to the About section, and then copy and paste their About section into a document that you created. Now, nobody out there does this. Okay, people don't do this. This is what we need to have as our habit, our normal routine. We go to the internet, we do our research, we copy it, and we paste it into a document on our drive, which we can access at any time. Now we have this document on our drive. What do we do next, Deanna?
You have the resume or what? You have the.
We just created a document of About Us for Carmines. So we have a folder. We have a folder called Carmines, right? Okay, we created a folder called Carmines. EPW 3 research. Okay, so now we have a folder called Carmines. We have a folder called what? Olive Garden. Okay. And any other restaurants that we are thinking of. If we say, I want to work in an Italian restaurant. And it doesn't matter if I want to be a cook, a waiter, bartender. We found 3 to 5 employers who do what we want to do. And so if you're part Italian or you have an Italian last name, would it help you applying at Carmines?
Probably.
Could. If everything else is equal, and you're Italian and you're Chinese, who's Carmine's going to hire?
Exactly.
Yeah, if everything else is equal, they are, because when people go there, they're expecting Italian food, not a Chinese waiter.
They want Dino and not Chang waiting on them.
Exactly. Okay, and especially if they have a New York accent, because this is carminesnyc.com, New York City. Okay, so in here, in our document, in here, we now have a document. What?
For each company, you want to find the facts of that company.
Okay, so this is a folder called Research. You have a folder called Carmines. And then I would create a document called About. Why would I want to call it About?
Well, that's where you're going to put the file that you copied about the rest
Because
of
it makes it easy for me to remember, right? I don't have to think about, well, what is that file called? What's the file called? The document called that tells me what they're about. It's called About. Okay. So now, best practice is what I would do is I would take their About thing and I would do Control A. What does Control A do? Copy. It selects the whole thing. So I would do copy the whole thing, right? Copy.
Just paste it.
I go back to here. Go to my drive, right? I go to the folder and say Carmines. I'm going to short circuit that right now. I go to a particular folder that said that. I created a document, right?
Would you title it? You would title it first, right?
I would title it About, but I would probably title it About Carmines, because I wouldn't want to have, 16, 5 different files called About, and I don't remember which one it is. So About Carmines, okay? So About Carmines.
I got you.
Okay, so now here's my document. I go up here, I start at the top, About Carmines. And I'm sort of anal on things, so I always put date. January 2016.
Those automatically timestamp when you create the file.
Well, it does, but for me, when I look at the file name, I don't want to have to look over at the next column. Okay, About Carmines. Then I paste the whole thing in. Okay. And now I have to clean it up. So how do I do that?
Well, remove all your formatting.
With all the format. So Control A. Remove all the format.
How to do that?
I Control A, that selects the whole thing. Then under More, there's a thing that says Clear Formatting, TX. And under the More.
Looks like a description.
Yeah. Okay, so it has everything there. Now, the next thing I would do is Control A once again, and I would change the color of the text, not from black, but to a lighter shade. Why? So then when I read it, anything that was important, I would put black. Okay, and I would do it that way, just black, darker, lighter shades of black versus different colors, because when you use colors, it starts getting, okay, what does that color mean? I did this in red, I did this in blue, this document, I did this other thing. And so I would just do this because people don't read, they skim. And this is a lot easier to read if you have it like that than if I have it blue or red ink or yellow highlight or whatever I did. Okay.
So I have more actions, and then you said you go to where?
Under More up here,
Uh-huh.
there's one that's a TX.
Oh, I got it.
So this is in your document looking for.
Alright.
Okay, TX.
Maximize it, it's gonna be on the toolbar.
Yeah, it should be on, it could be on your toolbar. Okay, so that's what I would do, and I would go through and look for the keywords. But I wouldn't cut it at all. Why not? Why wouldn't I just delete everything other than those keywords?
Well, you need to know the context.
Yeah, so I want to know the context, and I need to know more than they know. So when it comes to about them, I don't need to know just a few key phrases. Why am I highlighting key phrases?
Because you're gonna be importing that into your resume.
Right. The reason to make the key phrases is because those are the things that are going to make this resume different from my Olive Garden resume. Follow me?
Now, isn't that a little transparent?
No.
Having words in the same order coming directly from the website.
I'm not saying they need to be in the same order. Now, I'm not saying they need to be the same words. But this tells you what is
So you
important
could
for
put
them,
that into your own words, but it's the same idea.
as long as it's clear. Because it doesn't help you if they say, we like fun people, and you say, I'm gay.
Okay.
Meaning, not
But
gay.
gay is in the old sense.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, it doesn't help you because then they start thinking, well, what did that mean? What does he mean gay?
Yeah.
Right? Or instead of we want fun people, and say, I'm a happy person. A happy person is not the same as a fun person. A fun person.
Joy to all vices, you know. So
Yeah, so a fun person is someone other people like to be around.
yes,
A happy person is someone internally.
I'm happy inside. Yeah.
Yeah, I might not be fun at all because I like doing pranks.
Yeah.
It's not fun for you,
People get pissed at me,
but I'm happy. Okay, so it's important to use the words that they use, but not just to copy whole phrases out of there because it's going to be transparent. They're going to say, this person, they'll probably come to the conclusion of this person thinks we're stupid or this person is lazy. All they think they have to do is take chunks out of our thing and put it in there, and they're going to have an advantage. This tells you what's important to them. They're looking for people who mirror values. The values of the person, people they want to hire, are their values. So I'll give you an example. When I was working at Marriott, an internship in college, starting pretty much early on in college, I was in the restaurant field doing internships. And I got to Marriott, but my degree was in finance. So I wanted to work at Marriott, corporate worldwide, in finance. And So my restaurant background was important. My first job out of college was running a 104-room hotel on the beach in Santa Monica, which is now the Lowe's Hotel at 1700 Ocean Avenue, right near the pier, right near the boardwalk in Santa Monica, right above the beach on that side of the street. A great little summer hotel. But it was during the rent control part. So I was hired kind of as the guy to get the people who had been living there out because they wanted to tear the hotel down and build the Lowe's. So, but I had experience. I was young and stupid and impressionable and had nothing better to do. So anyway, when I was at Marriott, but I had also worked at Marriott. And so, but when I was at Marriott, the thing is, you have to learn to start at the bottom. I had to work in the bar at the Marriott Hotel, Marriott Great America in Santa Clara. I had to work in the bar there, and I had to start as a busser or bar back, whatever person, just doing whatever they needed. And in one of the meetings, orientation meetings, the thing was, look, here, people come to Marriott hotels, travelers come to Marriott hotels because they know it, they like what we do. So if a guy likes pepper steak, and he travels to Marriott hotels and he likes to have pepper steak, he orders pepper steak from us because he likes how we do pepper steak. So what do you think Marriott's feeling about a guy who comes in the kitchen and says, I make the best pepper steak in the world. My pepper steak is better than your pepper steak.
No, really, because you want consistency, not extraordinary.
Yeah, do they say, hey, great, maybe we'll change our whole menu, our pepper steak recipe for our 150 hotels around the world? No. They say, interesting, maybe totally irrelevant. If you can't make pepper steak the way we make pepper steak, then you can't be here. And the fact that you're even suggesting that we do your pepper steak, that's a big problem.
So you would say something like, I'm excellent at copying a style I'm not familiar with, or I'm very flexible in following.
You don't say anything other than, okay.
Well, on your resume,
On your resume, you talk about a chef as where you've been.
And I'm easy to learn. I follow recipes very well.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. You look for things that are important to them. So the thing that we tend to try to do is improve upon what other people do. In law school, the first year, a big part of the first year is spent breaking people of bad habits in terms of writing, one of which is being conclusionary. And so what that means is when you write anything in law school on an exam, you need to include almost every sentence or every paragraph. You need to use the word because. You can't just say the sky is blue.
QED.
The sky is blue because of whatever. Or he ran the stoplight because of this. Conclusionary is just saying the light was red, he ran it. Yes, you have to add because. So when you go to what we're looking for here is things that are important to them. And you need to put those things in your resume. But they teach, one of the last things they teach in law school is you find the best thing and you copy it. You don't have an attitude of, I can do something better. I don't need to know what anybody else did. I make the best pepper steak in the world. I don't need to figure out how anybody else makes pepper steak because I have decided, or many people in my career have told me, boy, this is the best pepper steak we've ever had. Therefore, I do. So I'm going to put on the resume, I make the best pepper steak in the world. You don't want to do that. You want to look at what is important to them, what are they looking for, and you want to make sure that's you. And what if it's not you?
Well, you have to fake it so you make it become you. You have to make it become you.
Yeah.
You have to become it.
Yeah.
But you don't want to con them either.
You don't want to start any relationship off on a lie.
That's what I'm getting at.
Yeah.
So
you
you're
don't want
going to learn how to make their style of pepper steak and say,
I've made pepper steak before at some of these places. I've been told I have the best pepper steak in the world.
I've been told. Okay.
I'm not making the statement. I have been told that.
Yeah.
And you want to put in there, maybe I learned, to make one of the dishes one of the things I learned to do was pepper steak, and I've been told I make one of the best pepper steaks in the world. Keyword learn. So if they talk about we want people who are curious about learning, you need to figure out how to use the word learn.
But some of these words, fun, learning, disciplined, excited, these are true in all companies.
Well,
I mean, nobody wants someone who's.
I don't know that Blackwater would put.
Well, I'm saying in that field, if you're going into the customer service.
Okay,
field,
but so you need to make those things clear, but you need to find the things that are unique between this and Olive Garden. Because otherwise you could send the same resume, but you know sending the same resume is not going to work.
line pairings would be more important at Carmine's than they would at Olive Garden.
Okay, so here's key things they have in here. Wow factor, size, proportions. What can we get from the term wow factor?
Enormous. Gigantic.
Okay, so they showmanship, right? Okay. Does that mean they want people?
Indulgence.
How about, does that mean they want people who are not outgoing and are introverted?
No,
Probably not.
outgoing. Perhaps they want larger than normal people as well.
Okay.
That's another issue.
Homemade desserts. Okay, so you go through, and this is what you do. You do this, and then you go to what? You go to the Olive Garden one.
Are you saying that all the words that you're highlighting from about us become your keywords?
I'm not saying all of them, because I don't know how many all of them is. But if they put it in there,
To highlight the whole about us, or more new things, I know, both some words, what words.
no, I would read it and try to get a feel where you're asking yourself the question, what is important to them?
And put it in your own words. That would help with it. I mean, so you're not lying or feeling like you're cutting somebody. That you believe it, it's real. If you believe it, it's right. If you believe it's true.
So what do I do now? I got my document ready.
Copy it ready or paste it.
Okay.
Format it.
Paste it. Control A again.
Format.
Okay.
Change the color to lighter black.
Change the color to a lighter shade,
And then highlight in the dark.
and then I would highlight. Okay, evolving brand. Okay, what does that mean to me?
Evolving the brand would be taking us to the next level.
Yeah, we're not static. There are some places, Mines, for example, they have their recipes.
That ain't changing.
They're not changing the recipes. They have books that you can buy that are, here's Carmine's
It's like
recipes.
Rayos. It ain't gonna change.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. You know, what else they see? Modern day Italian traditions.
Wow, that's a contradiction.
Okay. So I would do that. And we just go through everything. And then you have to go back and you have to reread these things, but you're looking at what you're trying to answer the question, what is important to them? Because this resume, the Carmine's resume, needs to be different than my Olive Garden resume.
From a serving standpoint, you look at things like you'd be more apt to tell people about how well you deal with families at a place like Olive Garden.
Okay.
As
Well,
opposed to-
actually, I kind of pick those two because they both are family style.
yeah, but when I'm dealing with screaming kids in a high chair, I'm thinking more Olive Garden than I'm thinking.
Okay, well, that's kind of a price point. And Olive Garden has endless salad bowls, endless soup type of thing. Carmine's doesn't. But at Carmine's, they don't have menus.
You have to recite everything, huh?
No,
Oh, it's a board.
it's a big screen TV all over the place. And you don't order for you. Every portion is for the table, 4 people.
Yeah.
Okay?
Oh,
So,
they're about those same thing.
okay, so yeah. So that's how it is at Carmine's. And it's family style for people who can spend $40 per person.
So you're gonna.
But here's the good news. There's so much food, you're going to take bags of food home. So it's really 2 days worth of food. So it's not really more expensive than anywhere else if you factor in I may be taking 2 shopping bags of food out.
When I lived on the bridge between Caesars and Bellagio, I mean, I ate great food carbohydrates because people would dump that on us all day long.
Okay. Yeah. Now, Carmine's, because of that, because everybody has takeout at Carmine's, they have a, what is it? It's not valet. It's sort of like valet. You might call it valet, but like a check, where if you come in, you eat there, then you're going to go to a show. They give you a claim check. They keep your food refrigerated or hot. And then when you come back, you give them the claim check and they give you your food. So you don't have to schlep them with you all the time. Do they do that at Olive Garden? No. They don't. You
Right,
take
the
it
box
out.
up yourself and
Yeah.
Olive Garden.
So like you said, there's at every table.
No, on the walls.
Like big screen TVs.
Big screen TVs like this on the walls that you can see. Server comes over and says, "Hi, everybody, blah, blah."
Let me recommend, I mean, I'm sure they got to sell a little bit.
Yeah. What are you interested in tonight? How about some vegetables? This goes well. They're salespeople.
Well, how spicy is that dish? Well, you better know what it is.
Yeah, they are salespeople at Carmine's. They're not order takers. They're salespeople. And their food is incredible.
It is.
Yeah. And their desserts are huge. It's like claim jumper for Italian.
It's ridiculous. I've had people get pissed at me when I worked at Buca di Beppo about the size of portions. And Europeans especially, they get nuts.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyways,
Yeah. So again, hello California. Not again, hello California. Hello California.
Hey, how you doing? We just got here on the tail end of it. We had a few technical difficulties, but
We figured that, and so we taped it. This is being recorded, so everybody can watch it. But what we're focused on today is the resume. And Phyllis, did you put on Google Plus? Okay. Did you share with Dennis? Public? Well, this is only for people who are paying to come to school. Today the focus is the resume, and we've been talking for about 20 minutes about the importance of having a different resume for each of your prospective employers. In France, the expression they use is different horses for different courses. You don't have the same horse running a steeplechase as in a quarter mile or whatever. Different horses for different courses. So people who have been taught to believe, I have a resume, I have a great resume. The response should be, wrong answer. There is no one resume. There's only great resumes. You need to have multiple resumes. And the easiest way to customize your resume is starting with their website. It's part of research. Now, another thing that you do is go to YouTube and put in Carmine's history, Carmine's whatever, and see what they say about it. You could also go to their what people say about them, like on Yelp and their ratings as a restaurant, especially the local one that you're applying to. Get what customers say and what could you do there.
I'm sorry?
Go to their local restaurant ratings, Google ratings, or Yelp ratings.
Yeah.
Okay, another part of the research is you go to look at the ratings of what people say about them. And you would do the similar thing.
Do you point out?
Create a document, copy stuff in, and be prepared to answer. For example, let's say there's a lot of negative comments.
You want to be able to improve on the negatives.
So one of the things that sets you apart is if you say, I've looked at your ratings, and there's a lot of complaints about blah, blah, blah. That the wait staff is not attentive. They had to wait a long time for somebody to come and see them, or their water glasses were empty. I see that I noticed on your ratings that a lot of people have a complaint about this particular thing. Stop, pause, let them respond. Don't just keep going. Why?
Well, because you're being negative.
Why do you stop and pause?
You let them take over so they can start selling you on why that's.
Well, that's part of it. But the more important part, the nonverbal part, is you want them to in their brain register, nobody else has done this. I haven't interviewed this person that said they really want to work here. That's the kind of thing somebody who really wanted to work here would do. I didn't know that. I don't go and check what customers review our restaurant. I don't do it every day. I didn't know that. When I do it, I don't kind of form this category of most of the people, the number one complaint is this. I didn't know that. I did see people say it, but I didn't know that was our number one complaint. You want these thoughts to go through the interviewer's brain. Wow, you do know something I don't know. Or you're the only person who's actually done this. Maybe you're telling the truth when you say you really, really want to work here. Maybe I can learn something from you. So you pause and you let them respond. Okay? Now, one of the things, if you're going to focus on, if you just said something negative, what are you going to talk about?
Something positive.
A solution. Okay? One thing all employers hate, and this is what most people do. So that happens, most people do. Most people think, I get bonus points because I pointed out something that needs to be improved.
But you don't have an answer.
Okay? I pointed out something that needs to be improved. I'm really smart. I'm a good employee.
No.
Okay? Anybody can do that. Anybody can do that. One of Nolan Bushnell's sayings is, everybody has an idea in the shower, a great idea in the shower. Everybody has a great idea for a business when you're in the shower.
Yeah.
It's what you do with that idea when you get out of the shower that matters. So anybody can say this restaurant's better. Frank Bonanno has said to me, you know what, I don't criticize other people's restaurants because I know I could walk in my own restaurant and I could complain.
Yeah. I just say, I think I've blown a couple of interviews of my time by just pointing out things that were wrong at places I used to work at. No one likes that because then they think you're going to start complaining about it.
Okay, so that's a good point. So what you want to do is if you say, so I've been looking at your reviews and one of the things I see is people complain about they have to wait a long time for their server. And one of the things I always get a lot of compliments on and made a lot of money and tips from is I was very attentive to the tables I serviced. So you talked about a problem, which was what?
The service.
Slow service, bad service.
Talking about the 10.
And you talked about a solution. But you didn't give a theoretical solution, right? You gave what?
Practical.
A practical, real-world solution. I always got good reviews, or I made a lot of money in tips because that was something very important to me. Because I know when I go to a restaurant, it really bothers me when I'm sitting there for more than 3 minutes before the waiter comes up and says, would you like something to drink? Talking about stuff like that, if you talk about that little story about that, what does that say? What's going on in the interviewer's brain?
Well, that you're actually proactive and you know what the solution.
You have experience. You're proactive. Okay? Yeah.
Oh, I was going to say, we go into the interview knowing the company, hopefully.
We know, not hopefully.
Well,
You
yes.
were not here yesterday, not hopefully. How well do we need to know the company?
At least it's very better than the interview themselves.
Our goal is to know it better than the person interviewing.
But my point is, most of the time we don't.
No, not most of the time. Almost nobody.
That's what I'm getting at.
Because, okay, so why is it that almost nobody goes into an interview knowing about the company?
Because they don't know what company's going to ask them for the interview, so they don't care. They're throwing out all this stuff.
Right, because they're starting from the premise of you need to have a great resume.
And they throw the resumes out and
Right.
whatever one
Okay.
else.
It's a law of averages. If I throw out 1 million resumes, I'm going to get a job. No, you're not going to get a job. Probably if you send out more than 20 resumes, you're not going to get a job. Because when you get in the interview and they say, where else are you looking for jobs anywhere else? Yeah. Tell me about it. What are you going to do? Not tell them? No. It's not important. You don't need to know. You're going to say that? No. You're going to tell them, well, what are you going to be inclined to do?
You need to tell them about the competitors that they're worried
Well, what
about.
are today, not on the Larson plan, but what are people inclined to do when
I'll
they say,
take the first thing I can get.
no, when the interviewer says to you, Deanna, Are you looking for work at other places?
Yes.
No.
Yes, the period comes.
Okay. Tell me about it. Tell me about these other places.
Well, I sent out my resume to XXX.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Okay. Tell me about it. Yeah. Tell me about these other places. Now what you're going to be thinking about is telling a lie. Because if you say, I've sent out 20 resumes, what are they going to think, Larry?
You haven't researched anything.
You're desperate. You just want a job. You don't care about working here. You just want to get a job. Is a good company going to want to hire you just because you want a job?
No.
No. They want people who want to work for them. So sending out 20 resumes is a very dangerous, it's a stupid thing to do. It shows laziness. First of all, when I'm over at the other place, typically I say to people, how many resumes, anybody here sending out resumes? Everybody's saying, how many resumes do you send out? Okay, how many you? How many you? How many you? How many you? How many? I ask everybody, how many resumes did you send out? And people think,
They want a bigger number.
yeah,
I can beat that. 41.
yeah, exactly. And then when they find out what they're doing is self-destructive behavior. 41. Okay, well, what kind of places?
Everywhere.
Yeah, it's the whole spectrum.
That's bad.
Okay, it's the whole spectrum. Yeah, okay, well, why do you want to work for us?
Because you had an ad in the paper.
Well, they say because I need a job.
Right.
Okay, so I say, so this is your sales approach. I really want a job. You need to hire me because I need a job. Okay, a
And
little
when I get a
bit.
better job, I'll leave.
Yeah, you don't get hired. You looking for work? Are you looking for work? Where else are you looking? Tell me about it. I'm applying. This is the business I want to be in. I want to do this. And I'm interviewing here, here, and here. And here and here. 5 places. Here's the places I'm interviewing.
Start a bidding war.
I've never heard that question. I doubt anybody here has heard that.
Okay, but that's because you all might have fallen off the wagon before they got there.
Okay.
Wheels might have already fallen off the wagon.
Why do you want to work with this company?
Okay, and your answer to why you want to work there could have been the same thing everybody else says, could have been not believed, and they didn't need to test your answer. Okay, so we're talking about they're really trying to figure out who you are. They might have decided you're not anybody we want to hire, and they're just being polite. Why? Because they put 20 minutes down for this interview. Most people are going to be polite when they do an interview. Most people aren't going to say 5 minutes. They're not going to do a Donald Trump. No, not interested. Most people are not going to do that. Because they don't want to take it home with them if they ruin somebody's day. And they're not going to give you advice because they've been told by their superiors, look, we're not in the business of teaching people how to do this. No good deed goes unpunished. You're going to do that. The guy's going to go back. It's going to get out. We're going to get this reputation of something that isn't what you said, but somebody took it out of context. So just stay with the script. We're looking for the best person to fill this job.
And going back to Ann Cuddy, use body language because they're going to try to be
Okay.
as neutral as possible. Correct?
So it's break time, but what does Tiger Todd say is the percentage of verbals versus nonverbals?
I don't know.
Okay. So nonverbals are like 93% of the decision in there. So part of the nonverbal is your resume. Part of it is your body language.
What do you trust?
Part of it is the way you dress. Are you mad dogging the person or are you nodding in agreement? If they throw something out controversial, are you just a yes person or are you giving an answer? If they say, this isn't what your resume says, is it deer in the headlights? Do you get aggressive and say, no, you're wrong? If they say that,
How dare you?
yeah, how dare you? How dare you accuse me of
So
that?
what percent?
The resume is 100% in getting to the interview.
The interview.
Okay, it's the ticket. It's like going to the movies and you show up at the door and they say, where's your ticket? Oh, I don't have one. Well, I'm not letting you in.
But I came. I'm here.
Okay, well, you need to have a ticket. You need to have a ticket. So that's what the resume is. The resume is the ticket to the interview. And when you're in the interview, they like the resume. They're trying to figure out, are you this resume? And so they're going to try to figure out, is this not you?
The copy, employment interview checklist and the sample resume, does that go in a separate folder, or what I love, who does what I love? Should we create a new folder for those?
Okay, say that again.
Okay, I copied the employment interview checklist and sample resume for those posted.
Okay. So I would put these documents in the folder that's called Employment Planning Workshop, not in a subfolder,
Yeah.
because that's something that you would share. Okay, California, I'm sorry we're out of time.
Okay.
Tomorrow we're going to talk about the interview, and we'll figure out any questions anybody has. Please write them in your books. The important thing is to remember what we talked about today, because if you don't remember it tomorrow, it's the same as not knowing. Thank you, California.
Okay, we'll see you tomorrow then, Ed.
Bye now.